did from 96 to 2003.
That's the third strike. How much time did they issue with? 25 to life.
And they don't give you no good time, good behavior.
Do 85% of whatever they gave you.
I feel like my life on the line. Jungle in these streets, take the beats on the line. Hustle to increase, put it all on the line. House to spouse, family freedom, walking yards on the line. Every day I wake up like my life on the line. Jungle in these streets, take the beats on the line.
What up, though? What's going on with it, Fomby? What's happening, y'all?
Squares beware. What's the deal?
Shit, man, you tell me. What's popping, homie?
It's another day on the line with JJ Fomby and Jr.
Yeah, we on the line for real, man. What's on the line for the day, man? What we got popping?
We got a guest, returning guest host.
All right.
We're gonna bring it to the game, and we're gonna talk about a few things.
Okay.
But a little something.
Yeah.
We're gonna elaborate on a few things that was spoke upon prior to this show. First of all, we're gonna talk about the episodes we have, the several episodes we have with Warren G.
Yeah. Shout out, man. Look, real quick. Shout out to Warren G Funk, the regulator. He wear many hats, for blessing us to hang out and talk to us and chop it up, man. Thank you, Warren G. You know what I'm saying? Shouts out to you. Big up to you, Warren.
Most definitely. We highly appreciate you supporting us and took that opportunity to come onto the show. We're appreciative of that. But that being said, all due respect, he did mention about he being placed in custody with a friend of ours, the group in our same community. So we're gonna bring that guy on and let him tell his side of the story.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, all right.
So that's one of the things we're gonna work on, and also we're gonna give a shout out to everybody that's been supporting us. The Digital Soapbox Network, our network, the Wire Entertainment, the Wire Lounge, Smooth Cut Productions, and everybody else that's been part of this operation, Artist Shield. Sort of great song we got called On the Line with Willie Mammoth from the Long Beach Movement.
Thank you for the drop, Willie Mammoth. That song is really hot, man. That song is popping.
And we're gonna make sure we give some camera action that we received from Tony Montana. We want entertainment. We want to give our shout out and respect for him contributing to the cause, and all those I've forgotten. I appreciate all y'all support. Continue to subscribe when you go to the JJ Fomby YouTube channel. Subscribe, hitting the like button, sharing it, leaving comments, especially when you're on Digital Soapbox Network and you go to On the Line with JJ Fomby Jr. You do the same things. Hit the subscribe button of those, and also get the subscription. They got 3 different subscriptions that you can purchase, and also hitting that like button and sharing it, and leaving a comment on Digital Soapbox Network. We highly appreciate everybody who has been a fan and supporting us. So, we up here in 2021. Let's talk about Mr. Alex Harris.
Hey, what's happening, Junior? Fomby, what's happening? Thank you.
What's going on, man? What's popping?
Just sitting there at the old computer doing a little work and touching back bases with y'all, man. Appreciate y'all allowing me to come out here and speak. I think this benefits me more than probably you guys, and I get to get out there and bring my little side to the table of things in life and have a different view on things.
Yes, yeah.
And it's a blessing, and I'm glad y'all out here really doing stuff, connecting to the neighborhood, connecting to folks from the neighborhood, and being that inspiration and leadership out here, man. I'm glad y'all, from y'all's perspective in life, bringing a different view to things, man. I appreciate it, and blessings for allowing me to be in every now and then to say hello.
It's all gravy, baby. You're welcome, dog. It's all good. So, tell us what happened, man. Did you see the episode?
Well, hold on before he go into a story real quick. So you already know that we had the regulator Warren G on the show maybe a few weeks back. and he went into a situation that, you know, you put the cuffs on him. You know what I'm saying? You the homie from the community, grew up with the guys, but you just had to do it. So he was in his voice, he was really, you know, like surprised, like, come on, man, you gonna me, you know what I'm saying? So how did you get to that point to put him in cuffs and take him to jail? What was the real quick, what was the rundown to get there?
All right, first of all, yes, Warren G, yes, you know I know him. He knows my family. We're all connected from the city. That was a very, very long time ago. And just when I was starting out as a police cadet, new guy out in law enforcement, wasn't even sworn yet. Yeah, you see I have a picture. Me and my brother, I did work for Long Beach PD. And that scenario, I did see the show, you know, and out of respect, Warren G's always been cool with me and my family. When my brother died, you know, I got to holler at him, you know, and Dog and all them, you know, the people showed up. This goes back to what I was telling y'all when we with the first interview, being from the inner city, working as a cop, you know, now working for the government, doing other things that you run into these issues and you're going to run into people. And sometimes you can't give a break. And when Warren G's situation at the time that he was arrested, I remember vividly. We were just, I think we were working gangs or something. I don't remember what I was working back in that day, but we were just cruising out on patrol, and Warren's he was driving a little two-door Yukon, and driving northbound. I think it was Lime, if I'm not mistaken. And his car had no lights on. He was driving crazy, ran through the stop sign. He did a couple dips. It was like, you know, we thinking like, oh shit, so let's go see what's going on. Get behind him, you know, he run his license plate, and it came back with his full legal name, which I'm not going to say. I don't know if that's or not. But
Right.
Legal name. I know him, so I'm like, man, that's Warren G, right?
Did you say that to yourself, or did you say that to your
partner? I'm a nobody. I'm the lowest of the lowest, the newest.
Oh, okay.
Ain't much I can do. I'm in my developing as an explorer cadet at this time. I'm entry level into this law enforcement world, and this is where I end up prompted into a full career. But I tell my partner, I go, man, that's Warren G. I literally was like, that's Warren G. And he was like, the rapper? I was like, yeah. He goes, oh, no way. And then no bullshit, he said, oh shit, this is gonna be a problem. And then in like seconds, the radio started going off. Then the watch commander, the lieutenant, had to come from downtown, if I'm not mistaken. Because now this is when Warren G, you know, in his peak of his career, was, you know, this is when he was out there, you know, a lot, you know, this is when his, you know, he was named. So he was a celebrity. So because of favoritism and protections, you know, making sure, you know, nothing was, you know, we didn't get out freebies and didn't accept anything, etc. Like a checking force, you know, make sure he's done by the rules. The watch commander came out. We couldn't move. We couldn't do. We were strapped, and it was like we had to wait till he came out. He had the camera, all this shit, just to make sure things were done correctly. And so Warren was a little intoxicated, and I saw the show. I'm a fan of y'all's, and so I saw the show, and he was like, "Yeah, you know, I went down there and they let me go." Well, I don't know how long ago they let him go, but I know he was pretty intoxicated that night. And so the funniest part, though, which he did mention, what I thought was funny, we get down to booking, you know, and on our way down to booking, he in the back seat, he's like, "Come on, little Harris." Little Harris. Now, I'm the little Harris because he knows my Ricky Harris, my older brother, and then I have, you know, two siblings in between them. And he was like, "Little Harris, come on, man, you can't give me a break." I said, "Warren, man, ain't nothing I can do for you, dog. I don't have no power, no authority, and the big bosses is watching because you're a celebrity." So, you know, we just had a little conversation. We're going downtown to booking. You know, we get down to booking, and so one of the officers was a little offended by Warren. If you remember, Warren G had a song called "I Shot the Sheriff."
Hey,
he did.
Can you hear me?
So there was an officer that I remember vividly who was a little upset and actually approached him downtown and was like, "So what do you mean by you shot the sheriff?"
Oh.
And he started talking about, like, piggyback off, you know, Warren's a producer, so he's talking about Like taking some off of like Bob Marley and bringing it, more hip hop-ish, and he was explaining it. Man, he starts singing the song and rapping down there. It's the funniest thing ever. He was like, I shot the sheriff. And what it means is this and that. So he was going into breaking down the lyrics. And so we ended up having to book him, and he went upstairs and everything. And I knew from that day forward, I was like, man, this is going to be a problem, dude. I was like, I had talked to my brother. Ricky was like, man, what's going on, with Warren? And I was like, man, Rick, ain't nothing I can do, so explain the same story. So now we like years later. I mean, this happened. I mean, this is over 20 years or so ago. So it's funny. I met up with I was hanging out with Snoop at his house. I was over there a few years ago. I want to say 3 years ago, maybe a little long, somewhere around that ballpark. And Dog was he had asked me. He said, I guess Warren had just been up there or seen him not too long ago, and he said, man, you got to tell me what's up with you and Warren G and wrestling. I said, Snoop, he's still talking about that? I said, man, that was a long time ago. It was like, man, it was drunk, wasn't he? I said, man, I told you, Dog, man, Warren had a little alcohol in his system that night. I don't remember what he blew, but he was arrestable, 100%. So, and it was crazy because when we arrested him that night, I don't know what he got into or where he was coming from, but he ended up having somebody shot at his window, and they shot his back window out. And he had a bullet hole entry where the little brake light go on his back window. So I don't know what he was going to do. I don't know if he was running from that or not, but that's really how that story wrapped up. And to this day, Warren I'm not going to say he hasn't forgave me. I just don't think he's ever forgotten. He's not going to forget, which I won't either. But, it's one of those things, man, where there was nothing I can do with that tenure in my world. And, but since then, life is what it is, man.
Hey, you know what? Hey, Alex, I gotta say something. you gave a real cop response to why we pulled Warren G. I know that last part. He said the back window had this with the roof. That's the purpose. The reason to pull a person over. The suspect vehicle had a broke tail light. The suspect vehicle was swaying back and forth across the lines. Them are the terms that I'm gonna pull. I ain't say you pulled him over. I guess you had from listening to the story, correct? You was new to the game, and then you had a senior officer with you that was driving. So you didn't have no leeway. If you could have had, I believe, you would have told him, "Dog, don't get back in that car. Call when the homies come pick you up or whatever, or walk." And get on the walk off and then come back get your car. But however you would have did it, I don't think you would have took him to jail personally. Had you have been a seasoned veteran in the game. Maybe I'm wrong. I won't put words in your mouth, but I'm just interpreting to it how some of the brothers or the homies in the community will be looking at this story. And I'm not defending you, but or I'm just looking at. I remember that day that happened. Yeah. I didn't know it was you, though. I did not know it was you. But I knew every recounting the story, I listened to it, and I'm like, I remember that shit. You had arrested, got him on 2-1 and limit. So he was going, and crazy part, I told the homies we was going just to hang out. We was coming from somewhere. I like meet up on 2-1 and limit. Like, yeah. And he happened to beat us there. And he was on 2-1 at right by the garage of the other apartments on Limit. The Limit was a cross street, He was going how you would say eastbound on 2-1. And I just reflected when I was in the car with two of the homies, and a couple of them when they saw the show, they like that was him. One didn't know it was you. One remember it was you. You know what I'm saying? So it's hilarious that we can look back and laugh at it now, man. And
yeah, that's what it's all about, man. Just look, man, shit. You go through things. It's like, but that's a good connection between the two because shit, it happens, man.
Yeah, I'm just listening at how, and we was watching this show. He'd be like, "Oh, this motherfucker took the homie to jail." Young dude thinking stuff. But Alex, if you listen to the story, how I interpret it is that He was new to the game. He wasn't driving the car. I don't know if he was driving the car. It appeared that he wasn't driving, but if he was or not, he had a guy in the car with him that was showing him the ropes how to be a cop. And I'm right with that, somewhere along that line.
Right. And
okay,
then
yeah.
You're a celebrity, so you gotta handle all that with velvet gloves above my head.
Yeah. So they like if me and Junior was in the car together and you pulled us over.
It's no different than right now, man. They pull over people. Beverly Hills, you had what's your name on there? We got they stopped and listen, man. Celebrities and all this stuff. It's not a regular situation because of just the highlight influence.
I got you.
And as my years went on, I've given a lot of people breaks. And as a cop, you can give your breaks where you can. The law allows officer discretion, and I've done a lot of that. And I know now that a lot of people that have seen and had to deal with me out in the field, and and then outside of working the streets, I do my breaks and do where I can, because that's part of it. Not everybody needs to be punished. Not everybody needs to be arrested. Sometimes they're understanding. I mean, I got a call from I remember being young. I had a call for a lady who was stealing out of the Lucky's. If you remember Lucky's back on Pacific back in the day.
Pacific in 21st.
Pacific, right? And before it was something else. Remember? So I remember that store, and I think it was like Albertsons or whatever it was at Albertsons.
Yeah.
So they
I remember what you're talking about.
He had like beef and all kind of crap stuffed in her. I told the guy that, the little security dude, I just said, hey, man, she got a ticket to appear, but I'm not taking her to jail and nothing. I just told her drop the stuff, man, go nothing, keep it pushing. Her story, when I got her outside, she had 3 kids. She was homeless, living out of hotels, and was stealing food to cook. Now, I'm not saying stealing is fine. I'm not going to stealing is stealing. That's something that she can go take to the judge and talk about. But I wasn't going to put this lady in jail with knowing she had 3 kids and she already starving to eat.
Right.
And I ain't taking her to jail, so I don't care what you got a problem with. And it is what it is. Now, problem with that, I get it, but I've been in a lot of those conflicts, man. I can tell you right now. I tell you, as a junior troop, I remember vividly, as a junior troop, we pulled over some dude who was on Anaheim and just north of, just east of Redondo. Neighborhood, blued out. Blue Camaro, he blued out. That's what he do. We pull him over. And I'm like, man, I don't, this regular dude. So I hit the door, and he like, Alex, and I'm sitting there like, man, I don't know what this dude is, man. Maybe he did a few years on the yard, and I just happened to see him. I don't know, but I don't recognize his face. So he gives me his license. I recognize the name, and he had an older picture on his license, like most of us all do. And I'm like, man, yeah, hey, what's going on? I'm like, man, you got your license? He's like, listen. He looked around. He said, I ain't got no license, man. So he was like, I ain't got no license and that. I said, all right, man, just kick it. I ain't business. So I go to the car, I run him. And I'm like, I associate. I know who he is. I know what's going on. I'm like, all right. So I had a senior officer who was a little rough on the streets. And so I was like, all right. So he looked right at me. This is when I was training, actually. And he's like, so what you going to do? I said, I'm going to let him go. And he looked at me and he said, well, why would you do that? I said, because I know him. I'm from the neighborhood. And we let people go all day long. We've pulled over 10 people and written 1 ticket. So what's the difference with him? He ain't got a license. I told him I'll give him a verbal warning. Be him about his business. We keep the peace in the street. And, clearly he ain't got a license. He got a problem. But we've let a lot of people go. And that's but I was getting judged. I was getting evaluated on my judgment. But I had a reason. And in law enforcement, especially when you work and some people need a break. And I believe, me personally, that's a connection that we need in the street. There needs to be an understanding. I mean, when you have cops who are out here and you see why we're having all these shootings, when you think of Mr. Floyd and any and all of a lot of these shootings, that there's a common nexus, and that's because there's a link missing between the understanding the community they serve in the community, that population, and that population with the police department that serves its community. And when you have a lack of understanding, we have these issues where we get in these excessive use of forces, these shootings, etc. Now, for me, being, I am still a younger guy in law enforcement, but I'm pushing my 20th year in this business. I'm number 2 and number 3 in charge of a police organization. I look at things completely different. And growing up from the streets to where I'm at now, I see things differently with my lenses, like you do. You guys have both done your time and your life experiences. Your lenses now ain't the same from 25 years ago. Ain't no way it could.
No, not at all.
So I'm 20 years into this in senior leadership. It's not the same when I was a rookie 19 years ago. It's completely different. It's also completely different growing up the way I did, having a connection to my own community. So it's not like I'm just serving a community. I'm serving a community that I went to church in, I went to school in, I got a house in. I'm still living in my community. I'm not ashamed of that. I have and love my community. Do I think it needs improvements? Absolutely. And that's why I commend you. We talk about this, Fomby, where it's a needed thing. I know people gonna read this and look at this and have different views. I think all that gangster shit is full of shit, and that's just me. I know there's when people read this and got their own mixed opinions. I know some OGs like that, Fomby, and I know there's people, but I'm just saying I can say that because what I seen, what it looks like working the inside, is you even got approached by somebody who noticed me working my federal cases. The reality is I've seen some pretty weird things. What's consistent?
Yeah.
You don't see these people who are in these hoods and they doing everything because they from this block, this street, this, that.
Mm-hmm.
They not provide no money to these people family. There ain't no business coming out of banging. There ain't no business when all these young cats is dying. I've seen my own friends that I've had to witness as a cop dead, shot. I know people who don't even live out here because they're afraid to come out here. So I can't associate how you can say I'm from X and X hood and that's beneficial to life, and those who are having kids want to be an influence. I don't care if you're the worst dad or the greatest dad. Most parents, now I know there's a deviation. There are some people who teach their business and their Bible, but most people don't want their kids to be like them or go through those same examples. Y'all, what y'all been through, I know for a fact y'all don't want your kids to do what you went through at a minimum, if not more or worse.
Correct. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because working my federal cases, most people in the yard, when you talk about the OGs, 40s, 50, etc., man, they trying to get out the yard. Every last one of them. Man, I'm gonna beat this case, man. I'm getting some numbers dropped off my.
Oh yeah. Those type of guys, when they passionate about, well, I wouldn't even say passionate, but when they determined to try to give time back, they spend a lot of their moments in the law library, talking to their lawyer, staying out of trouble because they feel they got action to give them some time back. So if they got sentenced to 30 years and they got a chance to give, 10 or 12 years back, that's good for them. So they looking forward to doing that. So they spending all their time in the law library, filing motions and stuff like that to try to get some of that time back.
No, yeah, exactly. I understand. I'm laughing. I'm just tripping off the whole little thing because what Alex said was several things he said, and then what you're saying about the law library in state and federal. They are a law library for the people, the viewers who can see us and the listeners. The law library is a library with a bunch of law books, a copy machine, computers, some working, some not working at the best, but it's literature that it's just like them being lawyers. They go in there and they're their own lawyer, they only represent themselves. I think in the federal, the federal provides a lawyer, but in the states, specifically I'm talking about the California state prison system, CDCR, you on your own until you hire one or the court assign you one. They rarely do that. But in the federal court, if I'm correct, y'all know more than I do. The federal court provides an attorney at some stints of time where the inmate gets legal help and legal counsel. So writing them. And so in the state, they do write the writ of habeas corpus, and that's the bit of a newly discovered evidence. or the technical difficulty that took place in the course of the trial. So yeah, I got you. What you're saying? I'm listening to Alex. He done been around because I'd have been yeah, those
Well,
only
see, they have I don't know how it is in the state, but when you get sentenced, you got time to file your appeal, and then it goes to the appellate court. Right. Yeah. Then it goes to the appellate court. Then soon as you get to your destination, get to your yard, that's when you start getting to the law library, filing your motions, going back over your case to see where the loopholes are, or see if you were sentenced in the right guideline. This really helps it for drug dealers. Now, if you on a violent case like I was, like a bank robbery, you really don't get no action. But as a drug dealer, if you got a dope case, this is where you file motions and, go to mandatory minimum and, hard versus powder, and you got all that stuff. And then you got something called DAP, Drug Awareness Program. That gives you time off as well, but you got to complete it. So these type of guys who got these big drug cases with all this time, they take the DAP, they file their motions, some go back to court and give time back, you know what I'm saying? But in violent cases like me with a bank robbery and guns and stuff like that, you ain't getting no appeal. You can file a motion to get the gun off, because the gun by itself carries 5 years, just the gun by itself. Then we're going to talk about what you use the gun for. So these are two different things. So if you can get the gun off, that's 5 years taken off. So yeah, that's and speaking of that too, Alex, you being in a correctional facility, how was the transformation from dealing with dudes on the street and dealing with dudes on the yard? Did you have to change your motions and way of thinking, or how did that work for you?
That's interesting. Yeah, I did do some federal time on the yard where I was a CO, and then did some case management stuff. And then, ultimately moving where I'm at now, and I'm just leaving that out just because I'm still active what I do. But so to answer that question it's kind of twofold. Do you have to change your mindset? You absolutely sure in the hell better change your mindset, because working the streets with every weapon you got possible, and the strongest weapon in any cop on the street is its radio. It's powerful than the bullet. It's powerful than the gun. Because if I can get on the radio, I can get more bullets, more guns, more people, more helicopters, more resources. Now, I'm not saying a gun is not useful. So I don't want anyone to misinterpret it, but I'm saying as a police officer, if I was in a foot pursuit, and between my gun and my radio, I had to drop one, I'm dropping my gun. I need my radio. Now, I've been involved with some very close encounters. I've been shot at. I've had some issues. And I can tell you, when you're running after somebody or somebody shooting at you while you're running, your radio is the most important. When you're on the yard, you don't have a lot of those resources.
Just the radio.
Yeah, listen. Now, both of y'all be on the yard. You might have a little less than lethal. So, like in the state, they'll give you, I think they can carry pepper spray and a taser. I think now state of California does. But a lot of organizations, when I worked for the feds, we didn't have that. We just was radio out a fist.
That's it. Radio and a flashlight.
Yeah, you got and I wouldn't really carry.
No, I'm serious. Radio and a flashlight.
I never carried one of those because that's a weapon. I wouldn't give them to them. So a lot of you just got your fist, your mindset, and there's radio. But my mindset for me, I didn't have to change too much because I'm from the neighborhood. So my mindset is what it is. I understand things. And when I went in, especially doing case management work, discharging high-end offenders. A lot of people I had to deal with were individuals who were mafiosos, gangsters, dopers, big-time dopers. I ain't talking about guys pushing, $20 rocks. I'm talking about guys making billions. You know what I'm talking about. You know them type.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was in there with a couple of them.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you right now, nowhere in my life, and I've done executive protection with superstars. I've never met so many multi-millionaires ever in life outside of the federal penitentiary.
Yes.
I tell you that.
And what's funny about that, I don't know how the state works, but I know the feds, you know, some of these guys have businesses, you know, with they $1 million running businesses. But when you become a federal prison, you have to relinquish your business. And you could tell the ones who got shit going on outside who's still running things because they constantly on the damn phone.
Yeah.
They're always on the phone. And I'm not talking about the youngs. I'm talking about when everybody on the yard know who's who and what's he in for and blah blah blah. Well, they all know. Your case is not a secret.
You know, I tell you one thing, man. So when you talk about that, I didn't have to change my mindset, right? But I can tell you what it made me do is it most definitely made me stay abreast more with my martial arts, my fighting, because you got your hands at the end of the day. And on the yard, unless you cheat and sticking somebody doing something crazy, people will respect you for your stance with your fists in your hands and standing up as a man. See, I tell a lot of the guys that I train, even my kids as I teach them as a dad, the thing about the pen is everybody in there on a yard, male's yard, a men's yard, everyone's lions. Everyone, listen, everyone in there has been aggressive, and they're the lion out on the street picking off these hyenas and these little people. But when you get in that yard and you in there with the rest of the lions, you got to remember still a king lion in there somewhere. And we translate that into whoever's running the card, the black card, the Mexicans, the blacks, whites, etc. What I say about prison was very unique is it polices itself. There are a lot of rules that I think in prison would be very if we used them out in public.
Oh, of course. I agree with you 1,000%. I agree with you 1,000%. I totally agree with that. Yes.
There are some rules that I can live with that I'm
like, here you go.
But this is what trips me out. Everybody doing whatever it is they do on the yard before they get to the yard, rather. You know, they out in the street and they tough. You know, you from whatever neighborhood, you know, whatever you do, you're dirt. I don't know, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Get in prison, and now you a different person. I mean, you was Big Tank Knockout before. You know, you was Big Knockout before that, and now you not that person no more. You know, prison has a way of kind of correcting things, man. And I tell you how it works. I'm serious. And you know, and then
let me see the perspective.
When you get out of the yard, you're the biggest man. I've been on the yard. On me, I did everything. I picked up the grass with my fingers. Like, you don't even understand what I did in there, right?
Mm.
But it's also a facade because on the yard, when you come in, somehow everyone's able to check your paperwork, right? So whenever you come in, everyone knows who the hell in there and for what, right?
Exactly.
And it's different than for guys like me wearing a badge. It was many of people who knew I was from Long Beach. Many of people. People knew my brother, my family. I had cousins on the yard, and people didn't know that.
Mm. Can I say something? Excuse me.
Yeah,
I got to interject. Did they have a discussion of who your brother is?
No, let me tell you something that's interesting. So when I got hired for the government, and even to this day,
you gonna tell them who your brother is?
No. That people who knew me, but that never came in. But I can tell you what was interesting. When I got hired for Long Beach PD, I was actually in the gang file.
Whoa!
When they did my background, I had a background.
Because your brother.
It was a 3-inch binder about that big, right? And it had pictures of like my brother. It had pictures of my, some of my cousins, and like Molo, who's a cousin of mine. Molo from the neighborhood, and a lot of people that I'm associated with. They had a lot of questions. There were questions into that, but I can tell you and everyone watching. It's just like I told them. I can't prevent or stop where I'm from and how I got here in life. I didn't dictate that. My parents did. But I'm not ashamed of what I've done, who I am, and where I'm at. Mm-hmm. And that's no different why I'm on the show. I'm not ashamed that I'm in law enforcement. I'm really not. And I'm not ashamed that some people discredit this and discredit that. I mean, everyone's got their opinion. and it's no disrespect. I think it comes to a point where you start getting older and mature. You have to understand things. I personally don't think being on the yard, being the toughest thug on the street is paying any bills. I don't think it's beneficial. That's my opinion. Now, I know there are some people, a few, who made a ton of bread on the yard. But I'm going to tell you, I know millionaires right now that are worth $100 million. I know that for a fact. I know them. I can tell you every single one of them said they give all that money up to be out in those gates.
Hey, real quick. It's funny you should say that. Because I started off in FCI Safford. That's a medium.
Yeah, it's medium. Okay.
And then once my points went down and all that good stuff, I went to a low, which is Safford. Okay. So when you at a low, depending on who you are, as far as embezzlement, fraud, and all that good stuff. So to fast forward, you get a lot of guys who come through there. You know, some talk the talk and be like, man, this nigga full of shit. Right. Some come through there and they about the business when they was on the street. So we was on the yard with a dude named Bruce McNall. Now, for those who don't know who Bruce McNall is, he used to own the Los Angeles Kings, the hockey team. And he was in there, I want to say embezzlement or something like that. But he had a high profile case like that.
A white collar crime.
Yeah. But they sent him to a low. He got to Safford. And once again, once you're there, everybody know who's who. And if you don't, the guards are gonna spill the beans about, you know, that's so and so and so. But you know, he was real cool. Didn't have his nose in the air. You know, he hung out pretty much, talked to everybody because it's a low. You don't really have to flex your chest. And if you flexing your chest at a low, that means you ain't been nowhere else. You understand what I'm saying? If you're flexing your chest at a low facility, you haven't been nowhere else. Like, everybody who come down,
you talking about like going from a FCI one down to a camp from somebody from a USP.
Exactly. There you go. So now when you have those guys that come from the USP, then they get to a medium, then they get to a low, they kick back because they already know, you know what? This is perfect for me. Yeah. Now we in dorms. We in dorms. We ain't gotta be locked behind the doors. We like 6 men to a dorm and stuff like that. But see, it goes back to what you were saying, that you know, people want to come from the street and tough. Everybody like to fight until you get around a couple of other 100 motherfuckers that just like you like to fight, and you be like, okay, you know what? I had enough. You know what I'm saying? And there's two things. There's two things about those type of people. Either one, they think they can fight, or two, they know they can fight. That's why people fight, because one, they think they can, or two, they know they can. But let me tell you something. It ain't nothing to go to that bathroom or go behind one of those buildings and get your rumble on. Because there, you don't turn down no fades. You ain't turning down nothing. Especially if you represent a particular car. Now, if you just a civilian, or you know what I'm saying, a regular, you can turn down the fade, whatever you want to do. But yeah, the federal penitentiary, man, comes with a lot of high profile cases to where, you know, they listen more to your phone calls as opposed to a motherfucker like me. You know what I'm saying? So this guy, Bruce McNall, was real pretty cool, man. He owned the Los Angeles Kings, man. And, you know, if you look at him, he looked like a regular old man. But this dude owned a Los Angeles sports team. You know what I'm saying? So you're looking at him like, damn, this dude. And the sad part about that is you only can spend, I think $130 a month, so he can have $20 million on his books.
Everybody on their bread. Everybody got the same bank account, man.
Everybody got the same bank account.
So Junior,
everybody got the same bank account.
Junior.
But now, when you was was you on a medium or a low or a USP?
I had from a camp to the USP all the way up.
Now, see, let me
Can I say something, Junior?
I was camp, FCI 1, FCI 2, USP.
Now
Hello?
check this out.
Yeah, USP.
Check this out.
Man, that USP, and I know you're gonna notice that USP like going to war every day. Everybody on the USP got high blood pressure. If you work,
I was just getting ready to talk about that. Now, see, I'm gonna tell you something. Being a CO and being a inmate, moving up or down is pretty much the same vibe.
No,
because when you was at a low, your biggest thing is you might catch a motherfucker smoking weed. Okay, no big deal. You might catch somebody, they got a little gambling pool. No big deal. But when you start moving up, it's like we shutting the whole yard down. Somebody's got their head split. We found a dead body. All kind of stuff, man. It's USP ain't no joke, bro.
Listen, and that's why I'm saying, in your experience, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Me. This is just me. I get some people like, whatever come with this game that they in, they come with it. Let me tell you, bro. It ain't a risk out there unless someone rape my mom or do something crazy. Bro, I'm not going to listen. The yard, it's so much politicking. And every day, what people don't understand, every day, every week, when we get that new bus, it's a new dude ready to take on the new lion. It's a new lion ready to be the new Simba coming up, ready to take on Scar. And it don't.
Yes, sir.
And I'm saying, for me, who in the hell signs up to live that much in ruckus? But I also understand that there's rules to the game, so I get it. And that's one reason why I end up leaving and doing other things. It's just, I mean, I love my experience. I mean, man, I've been able to touch hands on a lot of things and be part of a lot of things. And I can't mention names because of what I do, but I can tell you I know some very high influential individuals that I've got to deal with and talk to personally. And some of these people have been on TV. And it's always refreshing to me. It validates what I believe. And so when I get on shows like this and others that I've done, and, you know, maybe one day I start doing some podcasts, and I don't know, I like the controversy. I know there's OGs who are going to read this and disagree. I know there's some OGs who are going to keep their agreements quiet and disagree. And I know there's some guys who just disagree. But the reality is, the shit out on the streets and what's going on got to change. The recidivism rate in prison is 70%. You're right. So you look at the USP, look at what's going on. There's a 1 in 7 or 70% chance that you get out and you're coming back. Now, what a lot of people don't understand is in the feds, unlike the state, I never worked the state. I put a lot of people in state prison, but I never worked the state. But when I have a 16-year career in the federal government after I left the street. I can tell you the federal prison is the only place that I know that mandates you to get educated and have some kind of program. So if you go in there, and Junior, you can validate this. If you go in there and you have a high school diploma, they're going to make you do some vocational training, either doing solar panels or whatever the hell you want to do, right? Have educational. You have to have an education program. So what I don't understand is, okay, you've been from the neighborhood, if you wanted to be a hardcore neighborhood or not, or you just did some stupid shit, whatever it is. You get locked up. They're making you get your high school education. You can get your degrees, because I know plenty of people have done it. And you can get a trade. You want to do solar power, whatever it is, right? I don't understand how in the hell you turn right back around in the next few months and be right back in prison. Now, I'm a caveat that I can tell everyone, and let me look at the camera when I say this. Everybody. I know there are some undercover boyfriends and boyfriends out there, right?
Uh-oh, easy now.
There we go.
Listen. I'm not going to get into this. This is what I am going to get into.
Wow.
Glasses on or glasses off. Some people like going to prison. And it ain't because they're criminals.
Okay, Alex. That's enough of that. We're gonna go to another topic, because we're not gonna get into the love affair of anybody today.
Well, see,
I'm not getting into the love affair. I'm not getting into all that, but I'm just saying. Listen.
Hold on. Let's get off this subject today, right there. That'll be another day.
Hold on. Wait a second.
We got other stuff to talk about.
But see, what he's saying what he's saying is true, because for me, I came in under the new law. So the old law, people was already there. You didn't have to do shit but do your time. Sit in, get in your bunk. You didn't have to do nothing. But when I got there in 96, somewhere in there, it was mandatory that you take up some kind of trade. Because remember, I got in young, so I didn't have no high school diploma, right? So for me to get action at halfway house, for me to get 6 months halfway house, I had to get my GED.
Because we're not talking about no GED.
No. Listen.
Talking about something else.
No, this is what I'm saying. This is the program you had to. It's not up to you.
No, we're not talking about Vulcan Ed. He's talking about some sex shit, bro.
Oh no, I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about.
I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, I'm talking about what he was saying, that they have programs. The programs that they have in there for you. That's what he was talking. No, I'm on that tip. The programs that they offer for you, that's true. Because when I got there, it was a mandatory. If you didn't have a high school diploma, you had to get your GED. To get your GED, they brought in a teacher from outside. And for me to have action at the halfway house, I had to have a GED before I released. Then they had something called, that's real popular now, that was back then called HVAC. You can get your diploma in HVAC.
That's still popping.
Yeah, you can get a certificate in HVAC there. Then they had a job, the best job to have in federal prisons, called Unicorn.
Y'all used to make realistic shit for the military. See, a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people know the prison and the military system derived, they work together. Remember, the government works for the government. A lot of people know that a lot of the military equipment, including bulletproof vests.
Yeah. I think where I was, they was making gloves for the military, some type of gloves or something.
Bruh,
and then
how people are not understanding how the government really work. When these guys in Unicorn are giving them opportunities, what they're doing is really monopolize them. Got these guys coming back from Iraq with these tow up Humvees, etc. They taking them to these USPs and these FCIs and having these guys give them job duties, which I get. There's nothing wrong with learning some shit. Like, hey, we ain't gonna sit there. We're gonna let some guys learn something and have them repair it. But before I end, hey, Fomby, it's not like that. My point was, it's just to acknowledge that there's a lot going on the yard, dog. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. We know. For those who've been on the yard, they know those kind of acts take place. Don't mean that everybody, just like those acts takes place in society, and everybody in society don't participate in that kind of mess. And then the same thing with people on the yard. But that's that stigma that everybody, some people are ignorant. When I mean ignorant, I mean knowledge-wise.
Correct.
They think that every time a nigga go to the penitentiary, he got to be fucking with a boy. That ain't the case. No. But there are people that indulge. I'm saying, and there's like people on the street that indulge. So it's just, I don't want the stigma to be. I don't want him to get off into the whole conflict of that, because honestly, there are members that are from different organizations that didn't get involved in that kind of stuff. You take where I'm coming from? So it's like, oh man, so I didn't want to get all into that. We got to edit that shit out.
No, we're not going to get in that. All I'm saying, Fomby, from my standpoint.
You see all the wickedness.
A lot of shit of why it don't make sense.
No.
Alex, I have a question for you.
With the fact that by you being an officer, you see the niggas on the yard with their chests all poked out, and then you see when you walk in the counter, nigga with a dick in his mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Let me tell you this. So I'll give you an example of one of the real.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just talking about shit that go on in the penitentiary. It was a lot of motherfuckers I know that was not a lot, but a few.
Right.
That got out like that. Dig where I'm coming from? They was men. Shit, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna police nobody pistol about what they doing. They ain't doing nothing to me. Let them do what they do. But I don't condone it or be around that kind of stuff. So, but it's just that stigma that it's always happening in the penitentiary. And the people in the penitentiary are more involved in that type of shit. You feel where I'm coming from? When it's not at that high rate, but it does take place.
No, you're right.
And I'm in agreement with it.
And it's not everybody that's like that. And I'm not trying to, all I'm saying is, when you look at the recidivism rate, why people keep coming back, some of that And I mean, you know, some of that is part of it. And I'm not making it up. I got evidence to show people. But my point of it is, you get a lot of opportunities to get that second life, that second chance, and it's time to change that. Like y'all on here having this show, stepping out, like, look, let's change that. You know, and the part that what I'm saying that conflicts with me personally as a person and as a dad and as a law enforcement guy. You do your ground and pound. You out there on the street, you do whatever you do, whatever it is. You end up in this spot, right? You at the you at the state, you or whatever. Everybody I know in there is trying to get the fuck out of there. Mostly of them. And I would say there's about a 1% who actually like, yeah, I don't care, I'm gonna stay here. But most, generally speaking, most are trying to get out of there the day they get there. Like you said, I'm off the bus, I'm at the law library. Why? Because I'm trying to get out this motherfucker. So been around, Junior been around. This is what gets me. How do you get out and turn right back around and go back relatively soon? That's what gets me.
Okay. I got a story for you. I got to make it quick because we're trying to end the show because we've been jibber-jabbing for a minute.
How I do it.
So I'm a repeat offender. Was a repeat offender. I'm one of them guys that went in and I kept coming in and out and going in and out until they twist my ass up like a boat ribber. So you know, one time I stayed, I think 11 months, 12 days. One time I stayed out 5 months, 2 days, after doing some jokes, some years, some calendars. So cause I was active with the bullshit. I was with the, you know, so when you out here active, people those are active, what do you mean by that? Continually participating in robberies, pushing your set.
The bullshit.
Yeah, all the bullshit. You feel me? You're not gonna be on the street long because your name gonna keep binging. You just full throttle. Some gonna get away, some gonna have a run, but a lot of them gonna get caught up because if you're active, you out. Your name is ringing like the next name in the Church of Chicken line. You next, you up. You dig where I'm coming from? Because you're not gonna keep getting away with shit because everybody know. Oh, that who did that? Oh, that whoop the whoop the whoop. Who did that? That was whoop the whoop the whoop. And who did that? That was. I think so doing a lot of shit out here. You feel me? So the hood and the set know, and the people that non-affiliate know that you the one out here creating this havoc. I mean, the police department know, especially now when they got these internet streaming sites and posts and stuff. So you know what I mean. You're not gonna be hanging out in the streets like they're gonna get dropped, laid out, or gonna twist up like a boat rim. One of the two are gonna happen to you relatively quickly. You get what I'm saying? But push past all that. When y'all made a comment about the SPs and all that, that's the same thing. In the state, they got the level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. So a person from a level 4, if he get down to a trade yard, he happy them up. But so if he get down to a level deuce, he's super happy. So he been through the shit. He been hooping and knives, riots, rides with the police, ride with different ethnicities, ride with different gangs. He ain't trying to be in all that all the time, all the day. He want to get out there and move around where he got to be sticking and catching case. Nigga trying to get home. He ain't trying to get right up. He ain't trying to catch a murder beat. He done made it through the thick of the shit. So now he's trying to get certificates and look good when he go in front of parole off. I mean, a parole.
And another thing that'll change a man's attitude as well. If he do get action at appeal and he win his appeal and get some time back, he ain't gonna be active like that on the yard no more. He gonna be calm because he getting ready to go home.
Yeah. At the same time, we know shit happened on the yard where you can't get away from it. You got to handle your business. You think what kind of conflict?
That's Fomby, that's a very good point. Because as Alex Harris said, you got dudes who every day wake up looking for the funk. No. He's accurate. They know he was the one wearing the badge on the yard. Right.
His content is correct.
You have those guys, and you have people who can point the person out like him. He with the business. Now,
okay, well,
you take somebody like me, I wouldn't with nothing. But when the whistle blows, I get in line.
I got
That's all I'm saying. I
Okay,
wouldn't know
okay.
shit starter. I wouldn't with the business. I wouldn't with none of that. But when the whistle blows, I fall right in line. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. When your number could pop up, you gonna have your shit.
Yeah.
I got that. I
Yeah,
mean, for a
okay.
person like I know that on them yards, you can meet your match. And a lot of
Oh, of
people,
course.
you could be popping on the street. You could be, like I said before, you could be the man in your set. But then when you start getting through in that big ass cesspool of others, cutthroats and manglers, you ain't the only one got the best karate. Somebody else karate better than yours on that yard. You know where I come from? So I got that. You can meet your match on them yards in these county jails. You ain't gonna be the only one in your local little circle.
Professional boxers on the yard, bro. I mean, I met dudes who used to knock people out on like that was their thing. But let me ask y'all a question, just because this is kind of like me. Like Fomby, you said you're recidivist, right? So you've returned time and time again.
I was.
No
longer.
I get it. That's what you have done. My question is, when or if I'm even asking this right, from my standpoint, education, training, etc. When does that stand up where you go, man, I ain't turning back right now? Because I know some folks that I know that I hang out with, play dominoes with, and they like, Al, I ain't going back. But they done been there 20 times. I helped one person get off of a life sentence.
Okay.
Now, I don't know, does that maybe because he was looking at life and the judge was like, look, you got spared. But the reality is, what makes you cut that off? Like, now you out here preaching the gospel. You out there, people starting to get you. No, listen, and look, I don't care what no one say. Me personally, I think we need people like you. You just as important as other people, because young cats, people out there need to understand the consequences of things. Not only consequences, but the life that it brings. Motherfuckers don't understand the blood pressure that come with this. The short life expansion. Heart attacks that come behind here. Both y'all know, like I know, we have motherfuckers dying of heart attacks on the yard.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
People get killed over a tomato. People don't understand that. But when what makes y'all, and when I say y'all, I'm just referring to your prior past of being incarcerated. How many times is irrelevant, but what makes you stop? What makes you say, no matter what, even your connection to the hood, the neighborhood, the homeboys, they want to do whatever, hang out. Why they get high, you may not. What makes you say, I'm not risking this for that? What makes you stop that?
Well, we're going to step out on this one. And I'm going to tell you this. To be continued will be the answer at this time. Okay. We're going to recall the yard. We're going to slide out of here. I want everybody to know that Alex's brother is comedian actor Ricky Harris. That's who his brother is. I'm not gonna say is still to this day.
That's right.
He's no longer with us, but he's here with us in spirit, and his memory will never his works will never be forgotten. So I just want to let y'all know who he's speaking about. I don't think he never even really elaborate on it. He's from Long Beach, California, off that east side. So we just wanted to pay our respect to him and his family and his kids, and we appreciate you, Alex, being returning back to help us, Junior, and Alex will return. We will further doing the dialogue about what he asked me, and on our next episodes. So if you want to say anything, I want you to close out, but I want to make sure that y'all go to our to Spotify, iTunes, Apple Tunes or iTunes, and you can get our podcast through audio in the next several days. Check us out on the podcast, audio version as well. And it's a Digital Soapbox Network. Anything you'd like to say, Junior, before we end this? We need to wrap this up.
Just thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Alex, for coming on. Shout out to Digital Soapbox Network, Smooth Cut Productions, everybody who helped us with this, you, me, Controls, and that's pretty much it. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you want more content, go to JJ Fomby YouTube channel. Until next time, thank you, Mr. Harris, for hanging out with us.
Man,
we out.
Thank y'all, man. The people, everything. Let's have dialogue. People got problems, they got questions. Listen. I'm open, but you know me, Fomby. I'm an open box, man. We can talk.
Oh no, for sure. You will returning. You will be returning. So y'all, we out of here. Artist Shield.
Every day on the line. Every day on the line. Every day on the soapbox. Every day on the line. I remember every day on the line. Well, every day.